y'all so much for hopping on today for this Modern Languages and Culture session. We are really excited to be here, share some more information with y'all. Throughout this presentation, if you do have any questions, please feel free to type in the Q&A chat. And we will get to those. We will have a couple people monitoring them throughout, and then at the end there should also be some time for some question and answer. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Dr. Jennifer Good, and she will kind of introduce the students we have on this call and then start the presentation from there.
Thank you, Kaylee. So good morning, everyone. My name is Jennifer Good, and I'm the German professor who's on the call with you to talk about modern languages and cultures today. I'm the division director of German and Russian, so I do have some oversight over those particular languages, and I also know quite a lot about what my colleagues are doing. The Modern Languages Department is 70 faculty members, so we have contact with most students at Baylor throughout some time when you're at Baylor, and so we want to introduce ourselves to you in this way. I have also brought with me 2 students, and I'm going to give them a moment to tell you who they are, because as I start the presentation in a couple of minutes, you can be thinking, I would like to ask a question of a student, or I would like to ask a question of Dr. Good, and those questions you can put in the Q&A, as Kaylee told you. Olivia, do you want to start? Can you introduce yourself and maybe say how you chose to add language to your studies?
There we go. Okay. My name's Olivia. I'm a piano major, and then I added German later. So my path to becoming a German major was a little untraditional, I guess. I started out just fulfilling my basic language requirements, which was 4 semesters of one of the musical languages, so French, German, or Italian. And so as I started taking German classes, I realized that this was something I really enjoyed. So then I decided I would add a minor. And so as I was pursuing a minor, I got to talk with Dr. Good a lot. And she told me that it was only a couple extra classes to add in order to get a secondary major, which is basically the equivalent of a double major, just like only the German specific requirements. And so I decided to add that my junior year. So it's definitely possible to do. It's not something you have to decide right out freshman year that you want to do it. You can give yourself some time to kind of think about it. But yeah, I chose German specifically because it's so similar to English. Like, English is a Germanic language. So as far as learning vocab, there's lots of cognates. The grammar is very similar. And so yeah, that's kind of how I got started in German.
Fantastic. Thank you, Olivia. So Travis, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what your path was to languages?
Sure. So hi, I'm Travis, and I came into Baylor as a bio major, and I also found German through me needing to take a language, but I was also interested in German before coming to Baylor because it was kind of a family thing. My dad spoke some German, so I kind of grew up with a little bit of it. So I wanted to get to understand it more. And then after taking classes here, I kind of became very interested into the language, and also all the faculty were really cool, and made me want to take it more until I really wanted to take a German class every semester. And that led me to being a German major now, because it's a great language, and the faculty are great, and yeah, it's good stuff.
All right, great. So thank you both very much. I'm going to switch to a PowerPoint presentation, and that will not just be about German. It'll be all of the languages that we do in modern languages. And I'm going to go fairly quickly through the slides because there's so much information we could share with you. Not all of it will be as relevant to you right now. So just think of it as what do you want to sort of capture? What do you want to know more about? And go ahead and put those questions in the chat. So just give me a moment to share screen. Okay, and then we'll get that slideshow started. All right, so here we are at Premiere. Welcome, welcome. And you've already met the students that are with us today, Olivia and Travis. And a little more information, both Olivia and Travis will be graduating this summer. They've spent their time at in German and in their other majors while they've been here. So they can tell you really from the beginning all the way through the very last bits of the semesters what it looks like to be a language major, along with having another major at Baylor. So modern languages and cultures, as I said, is the largest department on campus. We have a total of 10 different modern languages that are taught. So French, Italian, German, Russian, Spanish, Portuguese, and then in our division of Asian and African, we offer Arabic, Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. We have majors in many of those subjects: Arabic and Middle Eastern studies, French, German, Italian, Russian, Slavic studies, and Spanish. So if you don't see one of those other languages on there, for example, Japanese, those are often available in minors. So Chinese, Japanese, those are the two in this list that you didn't see before because they don't have full majors right now at Baylor. But they do have advanced courses available. So if you've gotten the interest in either of those languages, you'll be able to take advanced courses in them as well. Some other modern languages that we had, as I said, that don't have any, these three actually do not have any majors or minors, but are offered at an advanced level. So we do have Swahili added to that list. We also have something called the Area Studies majors and minors. That's a chance for you to put together a language and other cultural and historical information about that particular area. Asian studies, Latin American studies, Middle Eastern studies, and Slavic and Eastern European studies are those groups. So very quickly, and this is something that if you would need some more information, at the end of this presentation, you'll get my email. You're welcome to send me your specific situation, and I will be glad to help you to understand what's going to happen when you are entering Baylor and bringing some credit with you. So we do accept AP credit. A 3 or a 4 will give you 3 semesters of credit. A 5 will give you 2 semesters of credit. We accept IB, SAT subject tests, and we also have the CLEP test, which you can take before you come to Baylor or while you're at Baylor. Those are opportunities for you to come with credit and then know maybe where you start in the language that you're going to study. The modern language minimum requirement, which is one thing that most students do while they're at Baylor, is if you're a beginner at German, either taking 3 semesters with labs or taking the accelerated courses. That's the second group here. Beginner in German. Second group is German 1412, German 2412, where we take those 3 classes and we combine them into 2 semesters instead of 3. If you're not a beginner, regardless of which language it is, you'll want to take a placement test or have that AP credit, for example, and you'll be able to come in at the right level. You don't have to start as a beginner, although you certainly could start a different language. You don't have to continue in whatever language you might have studied on your way to Baylor. The rule or the minimum requirement is that 2 courses in languages must be done at Baylor. So if you have some credit, that's going to be added in there, but you would also be taking 2 additional language credits at Baylor or 2 additional language courses at Baylor. 2 special things that we have for Spanish. We have a certificate for medical Spanish, which is very useful if you're going into healthcare professions. And we also offer Spanish for heritage speakers. So if you grew up speaking Spanish, but maybe haven't had formal training, you can take those courses rather than being in a class with people who did not grow up speaking Spanish. Some career opportunities. Again, I'm not going to read this whole list. You can see that there are many things that our students do when they get out of Baylor with a certain language major. We have students in all of these fields who have graduated in one of the language majors. And so that's the reason why we put them on the list for you. If you have, again, special questions about whether or not this is a good major for you, we welcome those kind of questions. Outside the classroom, we have a lot of different things that we do. We have honor societies, we have interdepartmental groups that are about specific things, and we have clubs. And so you'll see here German club at the second to last one there. Olivia and Travis are both involved in the German club. And so that's a place where students decide how they spend time, and they get together with people who are also interested in German language and culture. Finally, we do have a living learning center that does a lot of work with languages. It's not exclusively a language learning center, but it does have students learning languages, probably more than some of the other dormitories or residence halls. Baylor and Beyond, which focuses on civic engagement, and also academic work. This is a great place for your 1 year live on campus possibility. It's a chance for you to really work on getting to know things at Baylor, but also getting to know sort of how can I globalize my major. All of those opportunities are there. We do also have study abroad programs. The Baylor In programs, they're called, are led by faculty. You can see China, Germany, Morocco, Paris, 2 Spain programs and an Italy program that are offered through our department. The picture that you see on the screen there is the Baylor in Germany program from a previous year. This is a program that I direct and will be taking in 2022 after we, thank goodness, are able to travel internationally again. We also have year and semester study abroad programs. So if you really want to go deep in a language, we believe that these will all be operational also for 2022, 2023. So we weren't able to travel the last couple of years due to the COVID pandemic, but all of them are reporting that we should be able to send students again to any of these programs in the future. And that is really what I had to tell you. And I know I went through it very quickly. Here's my email address if you need some additional information or you want to specifically ask questions that are to your situation. You've taken some classes, what does it mean? And you can also look at baylor.edu MLC, Modern Languages and Cultures, as a place where you can check and see what's going on in the department and what's new for our department. So with that, I'm going to stop share and we're going to hopefully look at some questions. So does anyone have any questions? Can you go ahead and put some questions in the chat for us? Olivia, Travis, and I will be very excited to answer any questions that you have. Maybe while we wait on a question, Travis or Olivia, do you want to talk about any of our upcoming German Club events to give them an idea about how students celebrate the study of languages at Baylor?
Sure. So we've, in German Club, we've gone to some soccer games here at Baylor, supported our teams, as soccer is a very popular sport, not just in Germany, but throughout the world. Also upcoming events, this weekend, tomorrow is the German Unity Day. And then we're gonna be celebrating that and going over it with other students on Monday, while also playing some board games in German, which will be entertaining, I believe. Yeah, and then also do some cooking eventually. And then, yeah, there's a lot more too that we're planning, and it'll be fun.
Maybe go ahead and let's see. Okay, you've taken, so I'm looking at a question from Annalise. I've taken Chinese as dual credit for the past 2 years. Would those credits transfer towards a minor in Chinese? Yes, they would come in. They'll be evaluated by the department, and the department usually makes that consideration very quickly. And so you should be able to know that before, once you've submitted the information and been admitted, that should happen fairly quickly, and you should know. Yes. See a question from Sam Horn. Can you talk about the flexibility of taking an international business major and a minor in a language? Yes, Chinese. So the way that Baylor is set up right now, it is very possible to get multiple minors and a major, or to have two majors, as in, I think as Olivia was saying, a secondary major where you do only the information having to do with the language. If that's your secondary major, you don't have any additional requirements that go along with that. So yes, the way that Baylor is set up, you should easily be able to plan for a minor, possibly 2 minors and a major. And then similarly, you would see a major like Travis being a bio major. I mean, that has a lot of requirements, but it was not difficult for him to also be able to get a major in German. Same thing for Olivia. School of Music is very demanding. We'll find that in many of the areas across campus. But if you tell your advisor that this is a priority for you, it should not be a problem for them to help you to get in touch with the person who can help you to do that. So in the case of German or Russian, that person is me. But obviously we have advisors in Spanish, Portuguese, in French and Italian, and in the other languages as well. So that's a person who can say, these are the classes you'll be taking. We recommend study abroad because that's a place where you can pick up courses in a relatively short amount of time. But even if you are just staying on campus because of your other requirements, you would still be able to do a minor without any difficulty in a language. The key at Baylor, and I would say this generally, is that whatever things you're interested in, you explore them as early as you can so that is open to you. I think the only thing that we find sometimes sad is that somebody falls in love with maybe Italian or Arabic and they're already juniors, and then a full major is probably not possible, but a minor is still probably possible. So we never say never. Let's see, I'm trying to think what else I can ask our student panelists so that they can give you some hints. Maybe Olivia, if you want to think about, or either one of you, what's something that you are surprised that you did in a German class, or that you are glad, a German class that particularly was interesting to you?
I can think of one specifically. Last year, both Travis and I were in this class actually, and we took a class that kind of gave us an overview about Germany as a whole. So like education, politics, yeah, just like a lot of different types of topics. And one of the activities we did one week was we prepared to do a mock debate for each of the political parties. And if you don't know this, Germany has a lot of political parties. They don't just have two like in the States. And so we each like represented one and had to go do our research about what the party like stood for and then hold this debate in German. So it was really interesting and kind of fun because a lot of us got assigned to parties that we don't necessarily agree with what they believe, but like it was really interesting to just try and, I don't know, have a debate in another language. It seems a lot harder than you would expect, but it was still a really great experience and I enjoyed it a lot.
I know that our study abroad programs in modern languages, you'll really see that they want to give you an experience of being a student in that country, not being a tourist. So we love to travel, all of us love to travel, but really the experience of what it would be like to be a student, what it would be like to live in a country is part of what we're trying to make sure that you get to experience when you travel with us. Because we know that many people haven't really even thought about the fact that it's different when you live in a different country. And so we want to give you that opportunity. Travis, how about you? Do you have a story from a class or a German event to share?
Yeah, sure. I think also last year I took a class about German literature. And so it wasn't just like your famous Goethe or other famous people like Kafka, there we go. But we also read magazines and periodicals. So it really widened one's horizon into being able to read not just like your classic literature, but research papers or advertisements. And so you could like really see that German is not just, or your language isn't just limited to books, but everything. And that was really interesting. Like fairy tales and stuff like that.
Yeah, thank you, Travis. I think that's definitely true. We're interested in culture and history and films and also books and also people. So like Olivia was saying, what do people care about? What motivates them in their politics, for example? Annalise asked the question, do students take multiple languages while at Baylor? Absolutely, they have that opportunity. So you have your set of requirements and you have your core requirements, and the rest of that time is up to you. And so if you wanted to study a couple of different languages, if you wanted to study abroad in a couple of different places, that is absolutely fine. The interesting thing for students is often that they have not had the opportunity to take language before. So it might seem a little more difficult, or it might seem as if it's going to be something that's very different from, a history class because you've had those, or a math class because you've had those. I would say give it a try. Take the language that you think you would be interested in, not just a default language because you took it before, or maybe you had a year back in the day. But really try some different opportunities. I, as a language teacher, would say don't start two at the exact same time. Maybe start one and then the next year start the next one, because as long as you're not at the same level with the two languages, you will find that they don't confuse each other as much. And the fact is that with every language you learn, you do get better at learning the next language. And so in some ways, it's a benefit to you to start to learn more languages and not just the one that might be required for your major. Language clubs, let's see. So it is very easy to join a language club or an organization. These are academic clubs. So there are other types of clubs, social clubs, service clubs at Baylor. But the language clubs are academic clubs. So basically the only thing that you need to bring is your interest and willingness to sort of work with the club to make decisions about how does the club spend its time. So that might be watching films. It might be, as Travis said, having a celebration for the national holiday of German Unity Day, which is tomorrow and we'll celebrate on Monday. Celebrating Oktoberfest. We're planning on a cooking event. Actually, it'll be in November just because of scheduling reasons. But they're open to all students. And that is actually not even requiring language study. It's more requiring interest and sort of wanting to know more about German and Germany, rather than that it's very specific. So you'll find that once you get into a class, you often can ask the professor, or the professor will send you to the student who's head of that who's head of that language club, and they can give you some indication of when do they meet, what kind of things do they do, and then you just start showing up, basically. So it's not hard to get into that. We do have honor societies, and the honor society, of course, slightly different. When you reach a certain level, then you may have an application for that. But again, that's really to reward you. And the honor societies then take part in the regular language club activities. So I think that we're fairly close to the end here, and I wanted to make sure that you have my email. So if you would like to contact me, it's Jennifer, regular spelling, 2 N's, 1 F, _good, G-O-O-D, no extra letters, at baylor.edu. Feel free to send me an email. Just say hello. If you'd like to know about a different language, let me know, and I can send you over to the division director who would be in charge of that language, and you could get more specific information if German and Russian aren't where you're headed right now. So thank you so much for your time. Does everybody want to wave and say goodbye? Auf Wiedersehen, right? Because we're in the German world right now in this morning. All right, very good. Alles klar. All right, so thank you so much for visiting us in Premier, and we look forward to getting to know you when you're at Baylor. So come and see us. Auf Wiedersehen.